the disappearing of yourself doesn't happen all at once.
It's a series of small adjustments, small compressions. You give up this thing because it matters to them. You let go of the boundary because it keeps the peace. And each individual compromise, it feels reasonable.
One silence, one apology you never received, one boundary you didn't hold, and one day you realize the relationship survived, but part of you didn't.
Am I becoming more myself in this relationship or less?
Hot.
You melting? You're melting over there in the UK?
Still melting. So when I saw you with that shirt, I was like, you're wearing long sleeves.
I know. I'm spoiled. I've got 72, I got about 71, 72 degrees with AC. It is actually, let's see, about 80 degrees, which is essentially about where you're a little bit hotter than that, right?
Yes.
But it's going to get hotter here in LA. And it has been. It's been hot here in LA, like up into the 90s, easy. But again, we're spoiled. Pool, AC, fans, all of it. Sorry.
No. No problem. So, Jordan.
Yeah.
Today is an interesting one because it's a mixture between a few things that I noticed with myself as well as in other people.
Yeah.
But can I ask you something? Have you ever looked in the mirror to yourself, obviously, and realized you don't really recognize yourself anymore? But not because you've changed, not because you think, oh, now I'm a different person, but because sometimes you could look at yourself and think, oh, little by little, I no longer do what I used to do. I no longer say what I used to say. And it's like you disappeared. It's like you stopped saying what you really thought of things. Mm-hmm. You stopped asking what you needed. You stopped saying no, right? No boundaries, no limits. Right. And you became easier for everyone else and harder for yourself.
No. I mean, I can only speak for myself. And maybe this is just because I've been doing it for a little while, and this is not a judgment or anything like that, or I'm better or I flex or anything like that. I definitely have my own issues. I definitely have my own lies and disempowering thoughts and things like that I tell myself. But as far as like boundaries or setting my boundaries or keeping my boundaries or speaking up for myself, that's not one of my big issues. I, however, have witnessed that in others, like people who see the red flags, not because they don't know or realize the red flags, they see them, but they stick around in the relationship. They don't leave the job because they've decided that they can fix it or they can adjust or they can solve it, right? So again, I'm not saying I'm far from perfect, but as far as your specific question is concerned, I don't have that real. Do you have that issue for yourself? Do you have a tougher time with the boundary issues?
Well, not with the boundary issues. Well, yes, also with the boundary issues, but it was a romantic relationship in the past. Yeah. And also I've seen it in some people close to me. But the scary thing, Jordan, is that the disappearing of yourself doesn't happen all at once. Nobody wakes up one morning and says, today I'm going to lose myself.
No.
It happens. One silence, one apology you never received, one boundary you didn't hold at a time, and one day you realize the relationship survived, but part of you didn't.
I mean, yeah, it's like you're saying, it's change again doesn't happen overnight. It happens gradually. And I think that what I'm saying is oftentimes with people who see these red flags in their, let's just say their relationships, right, is that they're trying to fix something and they're making it their responsibility to do the fixing. And in that, taking on that responsibility, they lose themselves. And unfortunately, I think what we're talking about today is the fact that maybe some of us don't realize it until it's too late. I mean, have you ever stayed in a situation longer than you should have?
Oh my God, yes. And it was very hurtful and very painful. And I think most of us has been taught something without anyone ever saying the words. is that love means sacrifice, that you have to sacrifice anything. That if I love you enough, I'll keep understanding you. I'll keep giving you. I'll keep waiting for you to change. I'll keep hoping that you'll understand me. I'll keep trying.
Yeah.
But what if that's not love? What if love should never cost you yourself?
Yeah. That's kind of what we're talking about today. It's what happens when love, real love, genuine love, slowly starts costing you yourself, your sense of who you are, your voice, your future, your dignity. And what we really want to be clear about this as far as my tone of voice or just how I'm even sharing about this. This is not about judgment. This is not about telling anyone what to do. It's about asking honest questions, because the most important thing isn't whether someone outside the relationship approves. It's whether the person inside it can still hear themselves. That's what I want to get at least in this conversation today. So here's what I've noticed, and I think we're on the same page around this, but both in watching people who I know, or in about sitting with people in coaching or in the recovery rooms or things like that, the losing of yourself in a relationship almost never happens all at once. You said it, it's gradual. It's a series of small adjustments, small compressions. You give up this thing because it matters to them. You let go of the boundary because it keeps the peace. You stop seeing those people because it's just easier. You put that dream on hold because now isn't the right time, right? And each individual compromise, it feels reasonable. You tell yourself it's reasonable, even loving, because that's what you do for someone you love. You compromise. But at some point, the compromises stop being occasional, they start being constant. And the direction is always the same. The direction is, at least in my observation, is that the people get smaller so that the relationship can function, whatever that means, right? So like from what you've seen, Miriam, and from your own experience, what does that feel like from the inside, do you think? Because from the outside, it looks obvious, right? To us, it looks obvious. But what's the internal experience of someone who's in the middle of it, do you think?
Yeah, so I don't think people lose themselves because they're weak. I don't think they feel that. I think they lose themselves because they are loving, and what makes it so difficult is that the very qualities we admire and we feel when we're in love, like kindness, patience, generosity, understanding, that sacrifice of giving actually can slowly become the reason we disappear, but not because those qualities are bad, but because we forget to include ourselves. So the people inside will be feeling all of that. I'm very kind. I'm helping. I'm understanding. I'm being patient. And I used to think that both in a romantic relationship and also as a good daughter, making sure that everyone else was okay. And if somebody was upset, if my partner was upset, I felt responsible. If somebody disagreed with me, I questioned myself and I would change. Everything I did went through one question, which is, how do they feel? How do I make them feel? But very little went through.
Them, they.
Right.
Yeah.
But very little went through with, how do I feel?
Totally.
Until one day I realized something. I have become an expert at understanding everybody else. But I didn't understand myself, Jordan.
What I think makes it particularly hard about what we're talking about here is that the feelings are real.
Yes.
The feelings that you're having are real. The love is real. And real love feels like a really good reason to stay. It feels like a really good reason to give more, to try harder, to be more patient, all the things, right? So the question isn't, do you love them? But we get stuck on that and we make the choices based on the love part. The question is, what is the love asking you to give up? And whether that ask has a limit, like how much are you just going to keep on giving to others, right? Before you actually start to ask yourself, what are you giving to yourself? It's so easy to become really muddy and complicated because we think we're doing it for the right reason. Love. I love them.
Yes, and there is something else very important. Again, we always go back to the root of things, right?
Yeah.
Many of us learned as children that keeping everybody happy was our job, that keeping other people happy kept us safe, kept us fed, kept the link connected with mom and dad. Being the good child kept the peace, right? And staying quiet, avoiding conflict, maybe people pleasing kept love close. So those strategies worked as a child. They help us survive. The problem is that many of us never stop using them as adults. And whilst children adapt to survive, adults have to decide whether adaptations still belong in their lives.
Yeah.
As a tool, as a mechanism, as a pattern,
Yep.
as a behavior.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all about protection, right? I think it's one of the most common ways people lose themselves in a relationship, along with what you're saying, is that someone sees a red flag, not because they see them, real ones, clear ones, and they still don't leave. And it's not because they can't see them, because they can sometimes, right? But because they've made a decision somewhere that the red flags are their problem to fix. I can adjust this. I can mend this. I can just love them better, communicate more clearly, be more patient, give more time. I can solve it. And the fixing becomes the whole relationship, the whole focus of their relationship. The entire energy and the person doing the fixing, like we're saying, slowly disappears into the project of saving someone else. And here's what I think is the crux of it. Where people stay in relationships that are genuinely damaging them because they've taken on the other person's recovery, the other person's healing as their own mission. And sometimes it's just not for them to fix. Sometimes the most loving thing that you can do is accept that this isn't yours to solve. That's a tough one for people to swallow, though, because they're so programmed, usually from childhood, that fixing and that solving keeps them safe. It just, that acceptance requires something really hard. It requires admitting that you can't love someone into becoming who you need them to be. You can't love someone into becoming who you need them to be.
Yeah. And a lot of people get stuck on relationships that are not healthy. People change career, leave their home, their country, leave everything behind for a person. And then in that relationship, that person shows the true face. And that relationship goes nowhere. But the person that changed everything invested so much. Now they feel they're trapped. But that relationship cost themselves all day long, cost them everything: career, home, friends, family. They might have left everything for this person. Now that relationship is toxic and that is not healthy. The guy or the girl is hurting them. And that is still there.
When I was single and dating, and this was all hindsight, was 2020. This is the thing. It's like I've grown up, I've matured a bit. I do a lot of reflective, exercises and things like that.
You're growing up just.
Just a little bit. I'm still very immature. But I realized that when I was dating people who were just a little bit more, and this is my opinion, right? This is not fact. Mm-hmm. They were a little bit more in need of help than I was.
Yeah.
I think there's something to be said about the distraction in it.
Yes.
So if I'm focused entirely on fixing you, I don't have to look at my own stuff. Your mess is noisier and more urgent than mine. So I can stay busy with yours. I don't have to look at me, right? And that I realized when I got older that I did that a lot.
That's so powerful. That's so powerful.
Growing is awkward. Growing is painful. Growing is uncomfortable. Here's something that I want to name specifically because I think it's one of the clearest signs that something is off. And it's one of the easiest things to explain away. When what someone does consistently doesn't match what they say they want. They say that they want to build a future together and the actions don't show it. They say that they're committed and the behavior keeps getting, it keeps creating uncertainty. They say they love you and you keep feeling like you're waiting to be chosen. And the thing about ambivalence, that's what I'm talking about, right? Ambivalence, not being sure, not fully committing, not quite choosing. It's also information, not choosing. is a kind of choice. Keeping someone waiting indefinitely is kind of an answer. Ambivalence is information. That's what I wanted to basically say. So I got distracted. We were talking a little bit more about what I was saying, where we were. Have you ever had that experience though? What I was saying earlier about taking care of somebody else so you don't have to take care of yourself, healing somebody else, fixing somebody else so you don't have to look at yourself. Are you guilty?
My entire life. I've done that. I've done that my entire life. Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
But, this also came about because I do have clients in coaching that actually come with the question of, I'm with this person. This is my partner. I'm not sure I'm happy. I'm not sure I want to quit this or not. I can't do it. I feel like something is off. And again, what's costing them, right? What's costing them that relationship? Yeah. And something I usually ask them, and I ask me, actually, one of the hardest questions I ever asked myself was, who am I when nobody needs anything from me? Think about that. If nobody needs your advice, your help, your fixing, your rescuing, your availability, your love, who would you be? Because sometimes we don't lose ourselves in one relationship. We lose ourselves inside a role on that relationship, the helper, the pacemaker, the good daughter, the strong one, the reliable one, the loved one. And after years playing the role, we forget. We forget the person that's underneath. So it was really hard for me to stop and thinking, hold on a moment. Who am I when nobody needs me?
I would really love to. I mean, that's a great question because it literally just shakes you out of your narrative. I mean, when you ask that question, and I've not asked that question, but it's a really good one, because I would really invite whoever's listening to this, watching this, to stop for a minute. If any of this is resonating for you, ask yourself that question, and then be willing to sit with whatever comes up. Just see what comes up. Don't try to fix it either. Just listen to it. That's what I would invite you to do. Just see what comes up. See how it feels. Maybe journal about it. Because that's a really revealing question if you're somebody who tends to do what Miriam and I are talking about, right?
Yeah. And one of my clients asked me, how do I know if love is costing myself, Miriam? It's costing me myself.
Yeah.
And here is a simple question. When you are with that person, do you feel like yourself or less? Do you speak freely? Do you laugh naturally? Do you feel relaxed? Can you disagree? Can you say no? Can you make a mistake without feeling afraid? Because real love doesn't make you smaller. It gives you peace. It gives you space to become more yourself. Real love is when two people can remain whole in that relationship.
Yes. Yeah.
So recently I realized something that surprised me. For years, every time I felt guilty, I changed my mind. I explained more. I apologized more. I made myself smaller. And I thought I was protecting the relationship.
Yep.
Okay? But I wasn't.
Nope,
I was abandoning myself, Jordan. And then recently, when I held the boundary, the guilt was still there and the fear was still there. But afterwards, I didn't feel bad. I didn't feel mean or cruel. I felt relief and peaceful. And that was the moment I realized that I hadn't stopped loving the other person. I'd simply stopped leaving myself behind. And that changed me.
Another thing when you're saying this comes up for me is, am I staying in this relationship because the relationship is generally good? Or am I staying because leaving would mean admitting that everything I already gave was for nothing? Because the second reason, I've already sacrificed so much, I can leave now. That's not loving keeping you there. That's not wanting the cost to have been for nothing. I think those are two different things, right? Sometimes people stay not because the relationship is good, but because leaving would mean admitting that everything they've already gave was for nothing. And that's a tough one. That's a tough pill to swallow. And I want to be clear. We're not here to tell anyone what to do, whether they should leave, whether they should stay. This is your life. This is your world. But what I'm saying is there's a more useful question than should I stay or should I go? And I think it's this. Am I becoming more myself in this relationship or less? Do I feel expanded by this or diminished? Am I loved as I am or tolerated as long as I keep adapting? Those are a few questions to ask. These are questions that don't require a verdict on the relationship. They just require honesty about what's actually happening to you inside of it. So those are just a few things I wanted to throw out there. I think we're kind of saying the same thing, but I'm just reiterating it. Do you agree with that? Yeah, you gave me the thumbs up.
Those are perfect. And
Yeah.
I also said to my client as well, which can help for the audience, the next time you're about to say yes to this person, pause and ask yourself one question. If I weren't afraid of disappointing them or their reaction, would my answer still be yes? That's it. That's one question. Because fear often, as we know, often disguises as same as guilt. Fear, same as guilt, often disguises itself as kindness. But guilt can also disguise as love. And so I think that the answer again is simple. It's belonging, right? We fear that if we become fully ourselves, people will leave us. The people won't like us. But here is what I've discovered. The people who only love the version of you that abandons yourself never really knew you in the first place. And to me, that was massive because I thought, whoa, I've been in a relationship for years. And they were loving the version of me that abandons myself. They don't know me, Jordan. They don't really know me in the first place.
Right. Yeah. And the unfortunate truth is you don't know yourself either.
Well, exactly.
You're playing that other role so well. But yeah, there becomes like literally a disconnect. You're stepping outside of that role and observing that role being played. And over here, that new person gets to witness this old person and say, this doesn't work anymore. This doesn't work anymore. This doesn't serve me anymore. It might be serving the relationship.
That's
whatever
right.
that means, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's also serving that person in the relationship or my position in the blah, 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 blah. But it can be messy. That's all. It can be messy. So, I mean, anything that we're sharing, I think it's not like saying do this or else. It's more like just an opportunity to start asking yourself some revealing questions, provoking. Anything we're saying is our experience, purely suggestion, take it, leave it. It's really more a matter of just being willing to, if you're feeling uncomfortable in your relationship, if you start to see signs but you're avoiding them or ignoring them, maybe it's an opportunity for you to ask some of these questions that we've posed to yourself and to sit with them. That's all. And just see what comes up. And you're going to make your choice based on that. Usually starts with one honest question. Not what should I do about them, but who am I? Who have I become? And is that who I want to be? People don't usually leave because someone tells them to. They leave or they make a change when they can finally see themselves clearly inside the situation. So that's kind of what we're maybe hoping this conversation provokes, is an opportunity for you to witness yourself in the situation, not judge yourself, not make yourself wrong or bad about it, but just observe it and go, is that who I'm really up to being? Or am I up to something else? And I think that's what we're proposing. Yeah.
Yes. And I would like to add something for me.
Yeah.
Like in a card in front of me that says, love should never ask you to disappear. Because if the price of keeping someone is losing yourself, the price is way too high. And by now you notice, maybe you've spent years trying to save relationships as a daughter, as a wife, as a husband, as a partner, as a friend. Maybe trying to keep everyone happy and trying to avoid disappointing people and trying to make sure nobody leaves. But somewhere along the way, you left yourself. And maybe today isn't about asking, who do I need to keep? Maybe today is about asking, where did I lose myself? At what point? When? Because perhaps the relationship doesn't need another sacrifice. Perhaps it needs the real you. And maybe that's the version of you that love has been waiting for all along.
Yeah, mine's somewhat similar, but I would ask you to ask yourself, when's the last time you felt like yourself inside your relationship? That might take a moment to check in with yourself about, but when's the last time you felt like yourself in your relationship, and whether that was recent or whether you have to go back further than you'd like to find it.
Oh dear, yes.
And be honest with yourself.
Yes, be honest with yourselves. I often see clients in a coaching session that they're saying something that I know is not honest. They're not being honest, but they say it because they want to believe it. And so I always try to bring them back to what's really, really honest here. What's going on? If this conversation resonated with you, our audience, I'd like to ask you one question. Where in your life have you been making yourself smaller to keep someone else comfortable? Let us know in the comments.
If you listen to this, you watch this, and you actually felt something, even if you're not ready to do anything with it, that feeling, whatever you felt, is information. Don't dismiss it. And we're gonna go a little bit further with this next week also. So
Yes. And if you know someone who keeps putting everyone else first, share this episode with them because it might remind them of something they haven't asked themselves in a very long time. Who am I when I stop abandoning myself? Love should cost you effort, never your identity. Jordan, thank you very much. I love this one because love is in everybody, in all our relationships. It's such a massive topic. Next week, we're going to talk about when you see that person is abandoning themselves and you want them to change and they don't want to or they can't. So we're going to talk about when you can't wake someone who wants to keep sleeping.
Yep. Wake them up. Can you wake them up? Why won't they wake up? Why won't they wake up? And again, just kind of goes without saying, but if you like what you're hearing, please like, subscribe, please share it with somebody who you think might benefit from it. Thank you so much for listening and watching as usual. See you.
Okay. Hope you all have fun. I love you all. Honestly, unconditionally, and unselfish. Love for everybody. Without abandoning yourself and without costing you anything. Jordan, thank you. And I will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.